All right, everybody, settle down. Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here. Great patriots. You know, for years you've been hearing stories. You turn on the fake news, and they are fake, believe me. They're the worst. And they tell you all about Trump. They say, oh, he did this and he did that. They think they know. They have no idea. Yeah, they don't know the real story. They weren't there. So we're going to do something different. For the next 10 minutes, maybe less, we're very efficient, okay? For the next 10 minutes, you're going to hear it all directly from me. The real story. You know, we're going to talk about building a tremendous company. The best buildings, the greatest deals. We'll go from Queens to Manhattan and then to the White House because we had to make America great again. They said it couldn't be done. We did it. They don't like to tell you the true story. They leave out the best parts, but I won't. You're going to get it all. It's a story of winning for this country and for all of us, so listen up. No notes, no teleprompters, just the truth. It's going to be fantastic. You know, to understand Donald Trump, you first have to understand his father, Fred. Fred Trump was a relentless workaholic developer who built an empire of middle-class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. He was a master of the system, amassing a fortune by using government subsidies and political connections to his advantage. You know, he was very tough and very difficult. On weekends, he didn't take his sons to the park. He took them to construction sites to collect stray nails, so nothing was wasted. His life philosophy was drilled into his boys. You are either a winner or a loser, a killer or you get killed. There was no in-between. This wasn't just talk. In 1973, the family business was hit with a massive lawsuit from the Department of Justice, accusing them of systematically discriminating against black renters. Federal investigators found that applications from minorities were marked with a C for colored and steered away from their buildings. For a normal person, a federal lawsuit is a terrifying, life-altering event. Most developers would have settled quietly. But Donald, then just 27 and president of the company, went on the attack. Guided by the infamous lawyer Roy Cohn, Senator, they countersued the government for $100 million. They eventually signed a consent decree without admitting guilt, but the lesson was learned: never apologize, never back down, and always fight back harder. This killer instinct had a casualty. Donald's older brother, Fred Jr., the firstborn son, Fred Jr., was supposed to take over the empire, but he didn't have the ruthless edge his father demanded. He dreamed of being an airline pilot. His father's constant disapproval crushed him, contributing to his tragic death from alcoholism at just 43. You know, for Donald, the lesson was stark. To survive in his father's world, you had to be a killer. But was Queens big enough for his ambition? As a kid, Donald Trump was, in his own words, aggressive. He was a loud, combative cut-up who once gave a teacher a black eye. His frustrated parents sent him to the New York Military Academy at age 13, hoping to instill discipline, but military school didn't tame his aggression. It weaponized it. He thrived in the hyper-competitive environment, winning medals for everything from the shiniest shoes to being voted ladies' man. He learned how to channel his combativeness into a system built on dominance and winning. After graduating from the Wharton School of Business, he made the move that would define his life. He turned his back on his father's world of outer minus, borough apartments, and set his sights on the ultimate prize, Manhattan. He wasn't just building buildings, he was building a brand. His first big splash was the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The project was made possible by a massive 40-year tax break from the city, a deal greased by his father's political connections that a normal person could only dream of. But his true genius was for public relations. In 1986, he took over the city's failed, multi-million-dollar renovation of the Woolman Rink in Central Park, and finished it in under 6 months and under budget. The press went wild. He was the can-do businessman who could succeed where the government failed. It was more than a construction project. It was the birth of a political narrative. He had conquered New York, but was building towers enough, or was the real prize the fame that came with it? The 1980s were tailor-made for Donald Trump. Greed was good, and he became the poster boy for over-the-top excess. He was a fixture in the gossip columns, expertly feeding stories to the tabloids about his deals and his messy divorce from his first wife, Ivana. He even learned to hack the media, calling reporters while pretending to be his own publicist to plant stories about how rich and successful he was. He put his name on everything: an airline, a board game, vodka, steaks. His core philosophy was simple: a little hyperbole never hurts. He was selling a fantasy, and America was buying it. But behind the glamour, his personal life often attracted intense media scrutiny. These controversies would follow him throughout his career. A significant media firestorm erupted in 2016 when a previously unaired recording from 2005 was released.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the I can do anything.
Then his fortunes shifted with the economy. In the early 1990s, a recession created major financial challenges for his business empire. Most people facing that kind of ruin would be finished, but Donald Trump isn't most people. He perfected the art of using bankruptcy as a business tool. While investors and creditors lost millions, he protected himself, cut his personal debts, and lived to fight another day. His business empire was in ruins, his brand tarnished. How does a man who lives for the spotlight come back from the brink of total failure? The answer came in 2004 with a new reality TV show, The Apprentice. The show was a sensation. For 14 seasons, tens of millions of Americans tuned in each week to watch Trump, the tough, decisive, no-nonsense boss, in his natural habitat, the boardroom. It was the greatest rebranding in modern history. It took him from a washed-up 80s punchline and transformed him into a beloved icon of success for a whole new generation. He wasn't just a businessman anymore. He was a household name, a celebrity, and he was about to leverage that celebrity on the biggest stage in the world. Trump flirted with running for president for years, but it was mostly a self-promotional tactic. His real political launch began in 2011 when he became a prominent voice in the birther movement, a movement which publicly questioned whether President Barack Obama was born in the United States. Then in 2015, he descended the golden escalator at Trump Tower and announced he was running for president.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
His campaign was pure Trump. The slogan, "Make America Great Again," was a powerful dose of nostalgic fantasy. His rallies were huge. He was using the exact same playbook he had perfected over a lifetime. Create disruption, sell a fantasy, attack relentlessly, and never ever apologize. On November 8th, 2016, Donald Trump shocked the world. He won. His presidency, just like his life, was a whirlwind of controversy. He became the first president to be impeached twice. The story of Donald Trump is more than just the story of one man. It's a story about ambition, media, and the changing definition of the American dream. It's the story of a man who lived by a different set of rules, who weathered storms that would have destroyed anyone else, and who changed the face of American politics forever. It forces us to ask, what does his rise say about us, and what will his ultimate legacy be? The answer to that is still being written.